Alrighty. After about 3.5 weeks, our package came in from JLC PCB manufacturing website that does great work. I mean, from what they have shown so far, I have no complaints. I love the interface on the website. The product came in great condition, very well packaged, so that it wouldn't be damaged during its shipping. This project uses the SOD123s, I believe they're called. I'll link all the materials and the makers GitHub and everything like that. The files are found on GitHub. The maker is cool enough to make this project open source. It's based upon the Reviewing, which is another board that has the same design, just isn't compatible with the kailh choc switches, which personally I prefer over the MX. So it was really cool to see that somebody had put a project like this out. So super cool. The guy himself is super cool. He responded to me on Discord and has been quite helpful along my journey. Again, I'm a hardware monkey. I build things. So building the project for me was no problem. Something to have in consideration when building these projects is that they are open source. The person making it is just that, a person, has a life and things going on, and so sometimes these projects are not always fully complete the way you might expect or go into the project thinking. So if you're new to this sort of thing, just know that in open source, things happen at a human rate, and sometimes people have other things going on they need to take care of it, and they're essentially charitable acts to putting information out into the public. So here you can see I'm soldering on the socket for the microcontroller. I made these socketable because I plan on making this wireless in the future. I just wanted to ensure that I could do everything from start to finish before I wanted to step it up into something more, adding an additional variable. So yeah, we're installing the microcontroller. Here we are getting the switches in. So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward from the PCB production to once you get it, the things you need to do after that are just diodes, your microcontroller, and then your switches and keycaps. Now, caveat, there is one other part outside of the hardware that is necessary, and that is the firmware, or the brains of your keyboard. So once your keyboard's put together, you're going to need to flash firmware onto it, which is essentially the instructions that explain to the computer that when you press this switch, do this thing. So the maker, speaking to him, he had firmware that integrated actually all the definitions for the key switches, but only had one key map. So it was up to me to create another key map layer, so to incorporate all the rest of the switches and such. So after putting the board together, and as you can see, it looks lovely, it was a journey of learning to compile new firmware and flash it, which is all new to me. So it took me several days of talking back and forth with the maker and other people on the QMK Discord to figure out, finalizing and putting together my key map and turning it into firmware that I could flash onto there. I had a few issues initially with the definitions of the rows and columns of the keys being defined incorrectly. So here is the QMK compiler. It is a software that takes your directories and turns it into usable firmware. This is where all the issues came up and took the longest time, just because I was unknowledgeable about the process there. definitely recommend to anybody who's wanting to do a project like this to maybe purchase one of the kits off of Etsy first, just so that you don't discourage one of the kits off of Etsy, just so that you can have a completed product done, to kind of make sure that like completed firmware is available to you, so that way you're not discouraging yourself with multiple different aspects. If you're just trying to build something and have it work more easily, it's probably a better idea to go into that route before you try to make one of these more open source projects, or even to make one yourself. I'll be releasing quite a few more videos. I have a Black RPi 34 cyber deck that I'm putting together, that the PCB and most of the components have come in. I'm still waiting on some more parts to fully put it together. I also have a stenograph that I'm going to be putting together, as well as a fully from start to finish custom keyboard project that I'm designing in KiCad that I plan to bring into production here over the next year. But yeah, lots of cool projects to come. So anybody who's following along, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.